Hey, welcome to another episode of Mini BTP. Brandon Mileski and Pat Micheletti continuing our Vision for the Division series. And Pat, we're going from the bottom to the top. Last time we did Chicago Blackhawks. Today we're talking about your Arizona Coyotes, who finished 7th in the Central Division with 70 points. So they did come on a little bit towards the end of the season, Pat, especially against our Minnesota Wild. The Wild split out of the 4 games last year. They won 2, lost 2, but they lost the final 2 kind of back in March and April. So an Arizona team that was coming on a little bit towards the end, though they've made a bunch of changes.
They made a ton of changes, and I think I don't want to get too high on them, but I like the changes that they've made. I think they're short-term changes when you look at some of the players they signed via free agency. In fact, 2 former Minnesota Wild players, 3 actually. In Nick Bjugstad, Jason Zucker, and Matt Dumba. And so Dumba on a 1-year deal, Zucker on a 1-year deal. I'm not sure of Bjugstad's contract, but what they did,
he got 2 years, 2.1 per year.
Oh, did he? Okay, yeah. Good for him.
I mean, for a guy who was kind of healthy, scratching a lot here in Minnesota, and was just kind of lucky to get a contract. That's a pretty good dollar amount for him at this stage.
Yeah, and he had a pretty good year last year, and then he gets traded to Edmonton. But what I like, what Arizona's done, they've brought in guys that can play. Now you can decide for yourself what type of players you think these guys are. Bottom line is they've played a lot of games in the league, and they still have some tread on the tire. So I think Arizona, I don't want to put them in the playoffs yet, but I think they're going to be a tough out for a lot of teams. And a lot of it is going to be determined upon how quickly they come together, how they're reacting, within the other players on the team. And because I think they have a pretty good lineup when you look at it top to bottom, at least one that is certainly better than what we've seen in the past.
Well, you mentioned all the Minnesota connections, Pat, and obviously Matt Dumba, first time away from the Wild. He signs a 1-year, $3.9 million deal with Arizona. Jason Zucker, a 1-year, $5.3 million deal. Bjugstad got that contract. You also have Logan Cooley turning pro from the University of Minnesota. It looked like he was going to return for his sophomore season. He kind of goes back, had a change of heart, and decides he wants to turn pro. And another guy that we saw plenty of at the University of Minnesota, drafted 3 overall by the Coyotes 2 years ago. Tons of speed, tons of offensive playmaking ability, and we'll see how quickly he can transition.
Well, I think 2 things prompted him to sign. One, when Adam Fantilli signed with Columbus, there is a rivalry between those two that really I think goes deep, and we'll see that this year. And secondly, Cooley was able to get the same bonus structure as the number 1 pick in Connor Bedard. When you can get that, that's unheard of. You don't see it very much, but Cooley was able to get that from Arizona. Shows you how much Arizona wanted him in their lineup. I think Cooley is ready to play in the National Hockey League from a skills perspective. I still think I wish he would have came back just for his own maturity purposes and growing another year and getting stronger. But there's no question about it. The kid is so dynamic, and I think they'll use him the proper way. You won't see him taking face-offs in his own end. You'll see him on the power play a lot. But if he just has a mediocre year with the other players that are around him, like Keller and Michelli and Logan Krause and Hayton, guys like that, and Jason Zucker, I think he's better surrounded than Bedard is in Chicago.
I forgot to mention the other Minnesota connection, Jack McBain, if we remember, drafted by the Minnesota Wild, ended up not wanting to sign here and goes on to Arizona instead. So another Minnesota
who played
connection.
Pretty well for him last year too.
Yeah, he had some moments.
Yep.
Pat, Arizona played well at the end of the year, and kind of people around the league are kind of thinking, hey, this might be a team that emerges and gets a little better. I'm still not convinced. I look at their lineup and go, who's your star power, right? I mean, your best forward is Clayton Keller, who's fine, and he's still young, but nobody that scares me particularly. And then I look at that blue line, Pat. Matt Dumba is the only defenseman making over $2 million there right now. And you can tell me what you think of Sean Dursey, a young guy who they acquired from the LA Kings, and had 9 goals, 20 assists. But after that, it's Josh Brown, Troy Stetcher, a bunch of $1 million defensemen. I still think Matt Dumba was fine here as kind of your fourth, but if he has to turn into your top pairing, I'm not convinced. I still think they might have some issues in the blue line, and I still think they're probably years away from kind of having more star power up at the forward position.
You're right. You're right. I on Dursey, I really, 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 really like him. If they can get him to calm his game down a little bit, he likes to go, take chances and all that kind of. If they can get him to defend a little bit better, and I think they know that. I think he's an upgrade from what they had a year ago. Stetcher is a guy who's been around forever and a good team guy. But no, are you gonna make some noise with a guy like him on the back end? Probably not. Their goaltending, they like the young kid, the Czech. I think he's a Czech, but he's still unproven. So I do like their forward group, Brandon. I have to admit, when I look at their forward group and the combinations that they have together, projected, I like them more than some of the other teams in the division, to be quite honest with you. Yeah.
Do you like their forward group better than the Wild's?
I do.
Wow.
I really do. As of right now, until proven otherwise, I do. I like it. When you're looking 1 to 4, I do. Not now as individually, probably not when you have Kaprizov and Boldy. I wouldn't have any of their forwards for either of those two. But but collectively, Hayton's a good player. Zucker can still get you 20. You got Micheletti, who a lot of people thought should have been the rookie of the year last year. He's a really good player. I like Krause in a Foligno role, but he can score a little bit more. Nick Schmaltz has moments of being really, really talented. So they've got some guys that I think are pretty legitimate. So, but you have to, you need more than that. You need more than that to be a factor.
All right, your prediction for the Arizona Coyotes, where will they finish in the Central Division this season?
Okay, I'm gonna throw it out there. I think they're gonna make the playoffs.
Wow.
Yep, I have them making the playoffs.
Wow. All right, he's Pat Micheletti. I'm Brandon Mileski. This has been another episode of Mini BTP. We'll move on through the Central Division next week. Thank you for listening and watching, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.